Donald Trump is clearly scrambling for a distraction from the Epstein revelations. He doesn't just want the media to focus on something else, he needs his base, the MAGA movement, to stop getting pulled back into this scandal. The conspiracies are running wild, and even some Republicans in Congress are starting to distance themselves from him. So Trump has been trying to change the subject, but his latest attempt, his meltdown over former President Obama, has completely backfired. Instead of shifting attention, it's only made him look weaker in the middle of this controversy. We're going to break it all down. But first, if you could take a second to like this video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. Now, before we dive into Trump's failed distraction tactics and his public rant, I want to start with how Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett exposed the intimidation happening behind the scenes to silence discussion around the Epstein scandal.
Thank you for being here, and tell us where things stand.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the White House, they are the hostile actors, whether we're talking about the Epstein files and them not coming out, or whether we're talking about him unlawfully going into various minority-controlled cities. And honestly, the list goes on. So we know where the hostility is coming from. I will have to tell you that I respect Thomas Massie. Clearly, we don't agree on a lot, but where we can find agreement, we do. And the reason that I respect him is because he always shows you who he is. He is what I would consider to be a traditional conservative. He believes in transparency. He doesn't believe in whatever Trump tells him to believe. He believes in things like fiscal conservatism. He knows who he is, and he never backs down. And to have this administration try to play with us and act like the DOJ is complying with oversight, to be clear, we were able to secure a subpoena to get those records from the Department of Justice within the Oversight Committee. And guess what? We still don't have them, right? Like, they gave us an itty bitty amount. They gave us maybe 3% of the documentation, and they know that they have Comer under their thumb and that Comer won't necessarily press. So they don't want this full House vote, but I believe that they are going to get the signatures, and then the ball will be in the Speaker's court.
When Donald Trump is threatening Marjorie Taylor Greene, of all people, you know, we've reached not even a new low. This is rock bottom for Donald Trump, calling Republicans, begging them not to sign on to this discharge petition, terrified not just that the Epstein files could go public, because it's not just about that. Donald Trump, for as little as he cares about anyone else, also recognizes this would be an up or down vote on the House floor on the Epstein files. This would implicate all those Republicans in the House who said that they care about transparency, they care about these victims, who they ignored all day long, by the way, because they don't actually care. And it would be an up or down vote on their loyalty to Trump. It would be the biggest display of his weakness and him losing his grasp over the Republican Party that we have seen yet. That's why he's terrified, and that's why he's melting down over Obama to try to distract. White House childishly trolls Obama on LinkedIn. Trump has found yet another home for his portrait. White House employees under non-Trump administrations are now unwillingly seeing the president's face on their LinkedIn pages. The latest bit of trolling from the White House involved changing its profile picture on the professional social media site so that even Barack Obama's resume has Trump staring back at the viewer. One of the great trolls of all time approved Don Jr. And as you can see on President Obama's LinkedIn photo, where it says, President of the United States Donald Trump's photo is now in place of the White House or any other marrer for D.C. or the presidency. It wasn't immediately clear if other presidents like Joe Biden, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton had a LinkedIn page, but likely hundreds of their former staffers on the site are now seeing an unwelcomed image. So too are some of Trump's own ex-staffers who later spoke out against him, like former special assistant to the president, Cassidy Hutchinson. The LinkedIn page for Executive Office of the President provides a workaround for some since it does not currently have Trump's face as an avatar. Are we really supposed to take this seriously right now? Trump and his supporters are desperate for a distraction, and this is what they're clinging to. They've latched onto his latest stunt, posting about Obama, and they're acting like it's some kind of major victory. It's not. It's a sideshow, and anyone falling for it is being played. Remember, Republicans once claimed they were going to hold powerful elites accountable, track down corruption, and shine a light on criminal networks. But instead, they've rallied behind the very man who gave tax breaks and political cover to the same wealthy insiders they claim to oppose. And now, rather than demand accountability, they're cheering over something as trivial as a LinkedIn screenshot. The truth is, many in the MAGA movement are still distracted by these gimmicks. But not everyone. A growing number of people, even on the right, still want real answers about the Epstein files. They want transparency. They want the truth. And Trump has no good answers for them. That's why this distraction game isn't working. So let's stop pretending that Republicans have any moral authority here, especially on issues like the Epstein files, or even free speech and censorship, which Congressman Jamie Raskin recently called out. And I think what he said ties in perfectly here.
Our country loves free speech. We fight for free speech. We fought for free speech. And we know it's in danger when students who are lawfully in the United States are taken off the street and arrested without warrants by masked federal agents in unmarked cars for writing an article or attending a rally that Stephen Miller doesn't like. Free speech is in danger when visitors to our country have their social media accounts screened at the border for any criticism of Donald Trump. Free speech is in danger when To Kill a Mockingbird, The Handmaid's Tale, 1984, and The Kite Runner are banned from our schools and libraries across the country, and even families defending our freedom abroad have to fight for their kids' right to read freely in public schools run by the Department of Defense. Freedom's in danger when the administration tramples the civil service rights of hundreds of thousands of nonpartisan expert civil servants. These civil servants have been protected against political discrimination for more than a century to maintain the excellence and independence of our federal workforce, but they're now being fired simply for doing their jobs, like prosecuting violent criminals and insurrectionists who try to overthrow our government and attack our police officers, or because they honestly gave honest economic information and labor statistics to the public. These honorable civil servants are being fired because they won't be the political hacks Trump demands that they be. When private comments made by federal employees are scrutinized for anti-Trump bias and they can lose their jobs because of it, then we've entered the realm not just of Vladimir Putin, but of Joseph Stalin. Now, Mr. Trump and Mr. Farage both claim they're protectors of free speech, but they only want to protect speech they agree with. In the UK, Mr. Farage is openly promoting the abolition of the Human Rights Act of 1998 to be replaced with a British Bill of Rights that limits the right of free speech to British citizens and legally sanctioned residents. He complains that racist threats against immigrants are not protected free speech, while he proposes to strip migrants, tourists, and perhaps even visiting American congresspeople of any free speech rights at all. I had my own close encounter with that when Mr. Farage and his team presented for more than an hour in a conversation we had about free speech. And after 3 minutes of talking, he cut me off and terminated the meeting because he didn't like what I was saying. That's the kind of free speech he's committed to. There is a free speech crisis in America today, but there's no free speech crisis in Britain. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has not shut down GB News, where Mr. Farage has his own show, just because Mr. Farage has used his airtime to call for banning peaceful protests that he disagrees with. No one has stopped him from going on Russian TV 17 times and saying also and repeating that the one world political leader he most admired was Vladimir Putin, even though Vladimir Putin is a war criminal and a dictator who has regularly interfered in other countries' democratic elections. No one has stopped Mr. Farage from parroting Putin's absurd talking points, like when Farage claimed that NATO, the US and Britain, provoked this war in Ukraine. For a man who fashions himself as some kind of a free speech martyr, Mr. Farage seems most at home with the autocrats and dictators of the world who are crushing freedom on earth.
We've got to stop giving Republicans credibility as if they're serious about governing. I'm tired of hearing Democrats frame their own accomplishments on issues like crime, the border, or the economy by saying, well, even some Republicans liked it, so it must be a good plan. Why should that be the standard? This is the same party that has repeatedly crashed our economy, the same leaders whose states are struggling with high crime and broken budgets, the same crowd pushing reckless deportation schemes. And yet, we're supposed to celebrate when they give a stamp of approval? Absolutely not. Democratic governors like J.B. Pritzker, Tim Walz, Wes Moore, and Kathy Hochul don't need validation from red state politicians who can't manage their own backyards. We need to stop ceding ground, stop treating Republican approval as some kind of gold seal, and start calling things for what they are. And that's exactly what we're going to keep doing on this show. If you agree, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I will see you soon.